Hi, my name is Omid, and Sam Sumat and I worked on the video processing project. So Sumat worked on the play, stop, step forward, step back, and slow motion buttons. Sam worked on the sharpening and the slider, and I worked on the load button, and I worked with Sumat to get the features such as the name, the resolution, the duration, etc. So on the load callback function, we set an array to video name and video path, and to get those values, we use UI get file and use some strings to specify the parts for the name and the video path. And we put if the video name is 0, then of course there's not going to be any video, so an error will come up saying that there has to be a valid video selected. And the video name is going to be a concatenation of the video path and the video name, so that video reader can be able to extract information from both parts.
Hi, my name is Sumat and I'm going to talk about the parts of the video project that I worked on. So within the load callback function itself, after Meet gets the video path and the video name, I use the video reader function to get all the respective information into the struct variable handles.var. I then use some basic dot operators and convert numerical values to string ones so that I can use the set command to output the important information like resolution, frame rate, duration, and name onto some static text on the GUI. We also, in the load command, um, show the first frame of the video before the video actually starts playing. And now moving on to the play button, it actually integrates a lot of stuff that Sam worked on, like his sharpening feature and the slider that he worked on. So to just focus on the parts that I worked on, I made this figure here. And these are the 5 push buttons that I made: play, stop, step back, step forward, and slow motion. And as you can see, they all revolve around this string field or the play button that's toggled between play and pause. Important to note here that we initialized it to play, and every time we press the play button, it's toggled between play and pause. Our while loop that iterates through our frames and displays them using the image command only runs when the play button is set to pause. So that's how each of these functions sort of um, manage to affect what's being displayed on the screen. They just toggle the string field or the play button, and the difference between these three is just the way they alter the current frame. So stop obviously changes current frame back to 1. These two increment it up or down, and I also used an if statement in both of these to the prevent us from accessing a frame that the video doesn't have. And now I'll briefly talk about the slow motion feature. But before I move on, it's important to note that the reason all of these can communicate with each other and affect the function of one another is that they all communicate using the handle structure that all of them have access to. So moving on to the slow motion feature, it's simple, and it sort of works like the play button. It toggles its own string field between regular speed and slow motion, and the play button checks to see what this string field is, and if it's regular speed, then it means it's been changed, and if it's slow motion, that means the user wants to have it played at regular speed. So once it knows that, it plays the video at the appropriate frame rate.
Hi, so I'm in charge of the resizing, the slider, and also implementing the sharpening filter in this program. So first of all, I want to talk about the two functions that I've implemented with my friends. These two functions, basically they are the same. Both of them will display the image of the video of the current frame and set the slider to the current frame as well. The only difference is this sharpening functions will actually create a kernel matrix and then convolute the video with that matrix in order to make the current frame of the video become sharpened and then display it. So at this point, it is very important to point out that in the load function, I've set the slider value to 1, the minimum value to 1, and the maximum value of the slider to be the total number of frames. This means whenever I implement whenever I increase the current frame by 1, I would be able to set the same value to the slider, and then the slider will move up 1 positions. So in the while loop, in the play pause button, as you can see right here, the current frame is going to be wherever the position of the slider is, and then as we go on, it's going to increase by 1 if the video is playing. This part of the code is to prevent the while loop to override my manual control over the slider. If I don't have this part, sometimes when the slider moves and I want to move it back, it's automatically jump back to where it was because the while loop was overriding my decisions. And as you can see right here, selections get the type of filter that I want to make, and if the type of the filter is normal, then the displaying handle is gonna be the sharpening functions. And after that if and else branch, I'm gonna display the current frame, as you can see right here. So about the slider function itself, it's really simple. When I manually move the slider to a different positions, it's gonna stop playing. As you can see here, it's gonna set the play button to play, which will not execute the while loop. And then it's gonna take the current positions of the slider as the value of the current frame. And then I'm gonna display that current frame as well as moving the slider back to the position that I wanted.
Alright, now we're going to show you how our program runs. Clicking on the load button enables me to open a file from both inside and outside the current directory. For this demonstration, I'll open a file from my desktop. Once the video finishes loading, as you can see, all the important information is displayed here in the video info panel. Current frame and the position of the slider are both set to 1, and the video starts playing once I click on play. If I click on the same button again, it pauses the video. Clicking on it once more resumes the video from where I paused it at. Note that the string of the play pause button is appropriately changed. The slider also moves to reflect the current frame that the video is being played at. I could choose to manually move the slider to any point I wish. It'll display the current frame there, and I could choose to play the video from this point. I could also choose to use the step back and step forward features to move through the video. For each time I click on step back, the video is brought back by a frame, and each time I click on step forward, similarly the video moves forward by 1 frame. If I click on stop, the video starts playing from the first frame if I click on play. I could also choose to implement any of the special features at any time. For instance, I could click on sharpening, and as you can see, each frame is sharpened in real time. I could click on normal anytime to change each frame back to the way it was imported into MATLAB. I could also click on the slow motion feature, and now if I click on play, it'll start playing the video from the position it was paused at a slower frame rate. I could disable this feature by clicking on the same button again, and now if I click on play, the video resumes at the frame rate it was intended to be played at.